Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 15 of the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. I am Matthew King, joined alongside Jacob Sullivan. We're officially in the dog days of summer here in August.
Yes.
Of course, back to school. It's right around the corner, which means we'll be back to high school sports here at Eli Sports Network. Can't wait for that. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up here in the next year. But one great thing that came away from this summer was this podcast, which we have had so much fun doing. We're going to continue to do. This isn't like a teasing the end of it. We're just getting started. We got some exciting. We got the college football talk that everyone's waiting to hear. We got football predictions coming up, which we're gonna have a third person on for that one, and we're gonna go even crazier with 4 people for our World Cup special coming up here. That'll be in about September, October-ish. We'll have people on there. Unfortunately, Jacob, you said you declined on the World Cup episode.
We'll see.
Oh, he might be talking back in. Hey, I've already got me and 2 others locked in, so we got
we'll
room
just
for
have
the 4th.
12 people there just duking it out.
One represent every nation. Why not?
I'm Mexico, so
maybe not. No, I mean, we got a lot of people in the U.S., so that's going to be a fight for that one. That's all coming. We got a lot of exciting stuff still on the horizon, but the trade deadline is behind us in baseball. That's where we're going to start. Obviously, the one season really going on. Of course, MLS going on, but we mainly focus on baseball around here. And there was one team that I found the most intriguing around the trade deadline, and it wasn't a team that was buying. So it wasn't the Padres. It wasn't the Yankees. It was a team that actually sold a couple of pieces and are still playing good and only a game back of a playoff spot. So we're going to start talking about the Baltimore Orioles, who they've got a bunch of young guys who have so much belief in themselves that they're turning into a dangerous club. You can't go in and just say, hey, we got so much more talent, we're going to beat these guys, because they're going to outwork you. Right. And that's what they've done. They got rid of Trey Mancini. They got rid of Lopez, their closer. Things are just very interesting, and yet they're not slowing down. They actually seem to be getting better. Adley Rushman's putting a late charge into the Rookie of the Year contention. He's still got a ways to go before he even passes Jeremy Pena for second, because Julio, I just think, is running away with that award. But he is a superstar in the making. He is so good. They've got Cedric Mullins, who actually has taken a step back, but he hasn't had need to be Superman. Ryan Mountcastle's having a good year. Anthony Santander, and that pitching's just doing enough. The Orioles, they might just be that team that gets in because they believe in themselves so much. Jacob?
I disagree. I know you thought that they were going to be kind of soft sellers there, and I honestly thought they weren't going to be either buyers or sellers, and they were a lot harder on the selling than I think either of us anticipated. Like you said, moving Mancini and Jorge Lopez, those were big losses for that club. It seems like the team does still have the talent and the heart to play for real, but the GM just has other plans. It's pretty evident. He is not ready to compete right now. And looking at that division and that schedule, I don't really disagree with him. So no, the short answer of can they still compete this year in 2022? My answer is no. They have way too many games against strong teams. The Yankees, the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Guardians. Their season is going to slowly slip away from them. And it's unfortunate. But like I mentioned, before in our trade deadline talks, they'll address their needs in the off season, and they'll have a pretty decent chance next year.
I find it interesting you're just saying no, they don't have a chance to compete, because I mean, some of those teams you listed, they played really well against the Blue Jays. They played really well against the Yankees. They swept the Yankees earlier this season.
I know, but law of averages. I mean, you're not going to have that maintained success.
You got that, but you got them who are red hot, and then you got teams like the Yankees who are cold. The Yankees just snapped a 5-game losing streak. They aren't playing good baseball right now. They're actually, I can't remember the exact date in July, but are playing losing baseball since a certain date in July. So they're ice cold. Then you also have the Rays who are struggling right now. You got the Red Sox who they'll see that are struggling right now. Sure, Houston is just a buzzsaw, but we've seen Houston be beatable. I mean, they just kind of got shut down by the Guardians.
Oakland. Yeah.
So yeah, they're not, I mean, they're beatable for sure. But I mean, that Orioles team, I can't say no on them, a hard no. I think they're going to be in it until September, unless they hit a skid, which they just don't seem to be hitting. Because I think a lot of us anticipated that skid coming after the deadline, especially with Mancini gone. That was the big one. Getting rid of Lopez. I mean, yeah, that sucked to see him go if you're a Baltimore fan. But seeing the heart and soul of your team and Trey Mancini go, I thought that was going to be the kick that really took the air out of the tires for the Orioles. But they just keep on rolling. They just beat the Blue Jays again on it to open up that series. Of course, we're recording this on Tuesday. That game was on Monday. So I personally can't say no. If I was putting money on it, I think that they're the odd team out right now because I think that the AL Central is going to get red hot here. A couple of teams in that division. I don't see the Blue Jays going anywhere, and I don't see the Mariners going anywhere. So I think they're going to end up being the odd team out. But again, if they get hot, all it takes is one other team to get cold and they can fly into a playoff spot. And I think they can still make it. We're going to keep talking about playoff teams here, so we won't go too far in depth with those other ones. But
right,
good on Baltimore. I actually saw them sell out a game over the weekend, and that's just something that wasn't happening. MLB record, by the way, for most people in attendance on, I believe it was Saturday, out of all the parks combined. So for those that saying baseball is dying, the numbers disagree. So it was just really nice to see fans enjoying the Orioles. That's a great baseball town. That the town loves their baseball. They've supported that team a lot. They missed out on some golden years, the Adam Jones years, where they were pretty good. So I'm glad to see the fans back watching those games. It's good for baseball. It's really, really exciting to see that Cinderella story come to fruition. So all in all, no, I don't have them making the playoffs, but I think I could see it more than you seem to be able to see it.
I'm not saying I would be just flabbergasted, but like I said, law of averages has to even out at some point, and those better teams they play them too much in this last part of the season. I just feel like they're going to come up short. Like I said, they'll address their needs in the offseason when the pieces that they're needing are on the cheaper side, cheaper than trade deadline at least, and they'll be right in it next year.
And they still have some young guys who they haven't even brought up yet that could get the call up in September. So they're not done adding those guys, seeing what they got, but the future is definitely bright in Baltimore. Now we're going to go into our tiering of playoff contenders in the MLB right now. We decided to break this down into 4 different tiers, and they are World Series favorites, teams that could get hot in October and make a run, get to the World Series and win it, like we saw the Nationals do in 2019. Saw the Braves do last year. The Braves weren't a team that was expected to contend, especially late in the season. Then we have the teams that are just happy to make it. They get into the playoffs. They say, okay, it was a successful year. We're on the right track. And then those teams that are just out, better luck next year, but you're at least contending this late into the season. There's going to be some hot takes in this one, Jacob. I am looking forward to the surprise when you hear some of my teams, but we are going to start with our World Series favorites. And I think that there's a pretty solid 4. I actually have a 5th in there that I don't know if you're going to sneak
in there.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
We got all the hot takes going right now.
Yep.
So my 5 World Series favorites are the Dodgers, Yankees, Astros, Mets, and Braves. And I think they have really solidified themselves as top tier. Obviously the Dodgers and Yankees and Astros and Mets all just running away with their divisions, just dominating. A lot of people have kind of penciled those 4 in the AL and NLCS races. So I think that if I was a betting man, those are the 4 teams I'd see getting there. But I also have the Braves, who have improved their pitching. They did just get beat up by the Mets, so that made me a little bit more hesitant to put them in the favorites category. But that lineup's good. They know how to win in the postseason. They know how to manage a bullpen. Brian Snitker, he's been there, done that. Now he knows what works. So I just can't write off the defending champions. They can get hot at any moment, and I think they're pretty easily the best wild card team out of both leagues.
Yeah, I actually have all 5 of those teams, and then I also included the Blue Jays there. I know that they seem to struggle at certain times, but then they just turn it up to 11 and smack some teams around immediately after. And if there's someone who can make the playoffs and then get hot and produce a lot of runs, I would absolutely not count them out of being a World Series contender going deep into the playoffs. They have the team to be able to do that.
So I actually thought you were going to have the Padres as that last team in there when you said that.
No,
I've got the Blue Jays in my next tier. That is teams that can get hot. The reason I don't have them as World Series favorites is because they're going to have to play a lot of games on the road. I know the Braves are going to have to too. And that pitching rotation just has been too inconsistent for my liking. I think you got to have a rotation that you can go out there and trust to get the job done consistently every night. Because I mean, if that's all it took was a great rotation, obviously you need to have the lineup to back it up because the Brewers, yikes. And yet they have a very good rotation. But the Blue Jays, again, just need to see some more consistency from that rotation. The lineup has also been hot and cold really this season. So I've got them just a tier below those top 5 teams. The other teams I have in the tier that could get hot, I have 3 more with the Blue Jays. I've got the Padres, I've got the Cardinals, and I've got the Seattle Mariners. Padres, I didn't have them in that World Series tier. They have struggled since their big acquisition, so I'm very worried about them. And the Dodgers just absolutely beat up on them, so they're still little brother to the Dodgers. The Cardinals, starting off the month of August hot. They are playing really good baseball. Got a very good lineup with, of course, the NL MVP right now, Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, just both raking right now. They got better in the rotation with Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana, so I think that's going to get better. Adam Wainwright, just an ageless wonder. So that's a team you definitely don't want to see. They've got a bunch of guys who know how to win. And the Seattle Mariners, again, we just talked about rotation. This rotation is very good. I know Robbie Ray struggles against the Astros. I know Logan Gilbert has struggled against the Yankees this year. Luis Castillo, he hasn't really struggled against anyone this year. Hopefully that continues tonight. Also, I mean, Chris Flexen, he's going to go out there and eat innings for you. Marco Gonzalez, it seems like when he's really dialed in, can do the same thing as well.
Stadium.
And not in Yankees. Yeah, exactly. And also George Kirby. They've still got that ace in their pocket that looks like he's going to be an ace here before too long. He is so good, so talented. If you're not a Mariners fan and haven't watched a lot of Mariners games, go check out George Kirby. He is sensational. And then this lineup's going to get better. They're going to get healthier. They're going to get Julio back. Mitch looks like he's going to be back in full force, which is great to see. Ty France is back now, and he doesn't look like he's really skipped a beat. Some worries about Jesse Winker, but then Adam Frazier's red hot. Sam Haggerty's red hot. This lineup's turning on at the right time, especially if Eugenio Suarez can also stay hot. They've got the lineup and the rotation, and of course, just a nasty bullpen to where teams aren't going to want to really face them in October. So those are my 4 that are teams that could get hot and make a run.
Yeah, mine look very, very similar to yours. I obviously don't have the Blue Jays there because they're up above, but I have the Cardinals, the Padres, the Mariners, and the Twins. I also have could get hot and go further than people are expecting. But yeah, we talk about the Mariners quite a bit on our Mariners minis, but it just the return of Mitch Haniger is so huge. Already hit his 100th home run as a Mariner. And it just seems like when that offense is firing on all cylinders, the other team can't do enough to keep up. When the pitchers are on, and they're on most nights, if the bats are awake, they're winning games. We saw it in a very good streak earlier this year. And that was without a lot of our guys in the lineup helping out. In ways that we know they can do. So yeah, I'm really excited to get Julio back in the lineup. Dylan Moore coming back, Mitch Haniger coming back. Everyone seems to be waking up from their earlier struggles of the year. I'm excited to see what that team can do.
And of course, the bullpen, Ryan Barucki just placed on the IL, but guess what? Diego Castillo is about ready to come back. Ken Giles isn't too far off from coming back. So it seems like that bullpen, even when they do have an injury, they've got 2 guys right there to replace it. It's been fascinating to watch. The roster management is going to be interesting as these guys come back as well. I want to hear, you had the Twins also in that potential for could get hot. What do you like about the Twins?
I have just really liked the heart of this team more than anything. It seems like it doesn't matter who they're playing, they can compete. They went out, they got top tier closer in Jorge Lopez. And I think he is going to do great things for that team. That a lot of close games, having somebody who can shut those gates on your opponents late in the game, that's going to be big.
I like the Twins. I have them in the just happy to get to the playoffs category. I've got
earlier this year, yes,
in that category because I mean, I still am always worried about the health of that team. It seems like their star guys are guys who historically have been hurt. Byron Buxton, which great. I'm glad he has been as healthy as he can this year. I really hope that he does continue to stay healthy. Also, Carlos Correa, who really everyone is kind of scratching their heads when he signed with the Twins. He's playing pretty good baseball as well right now. But I mean, then you got these unsung heroes, Nick Gordon, the brother of D. Gordon, who can light a spark under anything. Joe Ryan, who looks like an absolute ace for the Twins. Everyone was kind of surprised when he was named the opening day starter. So they've got these guys who you don't really hear too much about, but are really, really productive for this team.
They're doing.
The health concerns me, and the real depth of that lineup concerns me when you're putting them against these other teams that I have ranked ahead of them. The other two teams I have in my just happy to make it are the Philadelphia Phillies, because I think the wild card, the Brewers are going to fall apart. So I think the Phillies get that last wild card spot. They've gotten better. The offense is starting to click. They're trying to make me not look stupid from our preseason predictions. So I appreciate them working on that. And then the last team, I've got the Cleveland Guardians. This team's playing really good baseball right now. They've got a really good rotation, everyone doing their part. And also this lineup is starting to really rake. I mean, again, we talk about Jose Ramirez all the time. He is just an absolute superstar. But I mean, they've got depth. They're not going to have guys
the home run derby champion, right? Is that?
That didn't work out quite as I saw it, but he might win a batting title. He's just an absolute monster, and they've got depth up and down the lineup. So that's the one that I'm like, there's no way Jacob's going to see this one coming. But I really like the Guardians, and I think that they're going to get hot, and they're going to take advantage of an easier schedule and get in.
Believe it or not, we have the exact same teams making the playoffs. I am shocked too. I really am.
I tried.
Yeah. I also have the Guardians and the Phillies in the just happy to make the playoffs batch, which means our fourth category, the currently in but will miss the playoffs. The Rays, I have them. Their injuries, they're getting beat up. I don't think they have the depth to be able to handle the schedule that they need to through the rest of the year. Orioles, I was already talking about them. Brewers, I don't know what they were doing this trade deadline, but it wasn't working. And
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think they're going to fall short, which is really weird because a few weeks ago, I saw them getting first in that division. So the Giants, I see missing it, and the White Sox and the Red Sox, I see both missing it. The Red Sox by much more than the White Sox, of course.
Yeah, those are the same teams, obviously, that I have. Brewers, the Cardinals are just too hot. And like you said, they didn't address their needs at the deadline. The Giants, they're just in a stacked division. They've kind of fallen apart. The offense just isn't there for that team. I think last year was more of a flash in the pan for them. The Red Sox, I mean, they got enough talent to where they can get hot and make a run, but that deficit is just growing, and the schedule's not going to get easier, and the pitching is just in trouble. Chris Sale officially done for the year because of a bike accident. I don't know if you heard that news came in this morning. He's officially out for the year. The Rays, injuries have kind of eaten them up. Rosarena missing the time. Kevin Kiermaier missing quite a bit of time. They never got Tyler Glasnow back.
Staff.
Wander Frank, just everyone has been beat up for them. So just not their year. Orioles, we kind of touched on them. I think that they could make it, but I think that the Guardians just have the easier schedule to make that happen. And the one that really hurts me to say was my World Series pick, the Chicago White Sox. The news coming in today as well. Tim Anderson going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. That team just has not been able to stay healthy. The offense has been just bad. The pitching, the rotation and bullpen have been pretty solid for them, but they just can't have a lineup going out there that's getting the job done. So unfortunately,
and that coaching. Oof.
I was going to mention that to end. Unfortunately, Tony La Russa, this will be his last year.
Oh, yes.
And
in baseball, not with Chicago, in baseball.
Oh, absolutely. He's done. And hopefully they can keep these guys together and give it one last run with a coach who actually knows how to coach baseball in
this century.
2022. So I find that very interesting. I really thought you'd keep the Rays in, but I think the injuries just have everyone kind of, we're not going to doubt the coaching. Obviously they know how to win with little, but the injuries are just too much.
Yep. I agree.
All right. And now we are going to get into our draft of the month. If you don't remember this, back in July, we drafted 5 teams apiece. One of them had to be under 500, and we were going to see who had the better record in the month of July. And just so you guys know who did have a better record, Jacob finished with a record of 72-61, while I finished with a much better record of 86-42. So I will have my decree next week, all ready for that. But we also have to turn ahead to August. And I know it's pretty late in August, but we did actually do this draft before August started because we knew the trade deadline. We didn't want to have that interfering. And the little caveat this month was we had to do 2 American League teams, 2 National League teams, and then we went and found an MLB team randomizer that just picked our 5th team, and it ended up turning pretty even looking at it now. So awful, but even for those random teams. But all right, Jacob, well, since you did me dirty when you won the initial one that was just a week long, I am going to go ahead and say the loser gets to start and make the first pick. So congratulations. You'll get the first pick in the snake draft.
Yep. So my first pick was the Dodgers back in the end of July.
And I mean, why not? They just absolutely dominated the month of July. They're red hot right now. Whoever was getting the first pick was going to take them.
Yeah.
I am going to go with the Houston Astros, or I went with the Houston Astros, I guess I should say. Again, rotation good, lineup good. And now we know they also got Trey Mancini and Christian Vasquez to help. So in hindsight, that was a very solid. They got even better. And then
the reason the Mariners lost their series with Houston is because you preemptively picked them. So,
I don't think that's the case at all. But you know what? I'll take the blame on that one. Throw it at me.
Good.
I also took the New York Mets. Again, we knew when we drafted this, Jacob deGrom was close to returning, and I always am going to side with, hey, he'll be all right, because every time he comes back from injury, he's all right, and he's turned out to be all right anyway. And also Max Scherzer was getting close to coming back. He's also back now. And then this lineup just continues to hit. I mean, up and down. There's no weak spot. There's no spot in the order you can circle and be like, this is where we get our outs. They got Daniel Vogel back before we drafted this, so I'm a little surprised and a little disappointed in you. You're a big Vogie believer that you didn't jump on that, but hey, I'll go ahead and take the Mets.
Didn't have the chance. I know.
You could have taken them over the Dodgers, so you had the chance.
No, I couldn't have. And then for my American League team, I'm already regretting it, but I had to go with the Yankees again. I mean, they did not play good baseball for me as one of my July picks, but it has to turn around at some point, right? After this season or after this series, it'll turn around.
I mean, I hope that you just keep picking the Yankees and they keep giving you the same result.
I wouldn't mind that. If that's what it takes.
Take one for the team.
I'll
you know what? Maybe you should pick the Astros too. So, all right, you got another pick. Who else do you take?
The Cardinals were my next pick. They're just getting real hot, and so far that one's worked out well for me. So
they got real better for you too. I really like that Jordan Montgomery get. I think that's really good. And Quintana, the veteran, knows how to pitch. So my next pick is a team I'm also regretting so far this month. That's the San Diego Padres. I took them. This was before any of the trades, so I don't want to hear. Their schedule just looks so easy, and I had the intent. I knew that they were going to make a move. I didn't know if they were going to get Juan Soto. If you would have asked me, I would have said probably not, but I did think that they were going to go out there and get a bat. They did. Hasn't worked out very well so far. They are really struggling since acquiring Juan Soto and Josh Bell. Josh Hader has been decent for them. He hasn't really got the save opportunities yet, but hopefully
do that when you're down by 8 runs.
Yeah, the Dodgers are in the past. Hopefully now that they can turn it around and get better. I am also going to go up north and take the Toronto Blue Jays, who really ended July red hot, and I'm really hoping that they can carry that over. So far, they've been a little, in the middle right now, but hopefully that they can get that turnaround, get that offense back going.
And then speaking of red hot July teams, my last pick was the Mariners, actually. So haven't been able to pick them. I should have picked them as my below 500 team last last month, but nope. That they're looking real good, and after these first couple of weeks, their schedule is just a cakewalk. And I know sometimes they struggle with cakewalks, but I'm still confident in that one.
And after a scary start, they actually took the series in New York. So that was an amazing start. I don't think many people saw that one happening. No. Now we got to our teams where it's just a click of a button. Let's see what happens. And Jacob, you were lucky enough to get the Cincinnati Reds.
So lucky. Yes. Yeah. Not terrible right now, but they were both seller teams.
My team, I laughed at Jacob. I'm not going to lie. I shouldn't have laughed at Jacob because I got the Oakland A's, who are.
It tried to give you the Cardinals before.
It did try to give me the Cardinals, which I would have loved. I've 100% been happy. Maybe we should have done the random first.
No.
Next time, we'll learn for next time. We'll do the randoming first. But yeah, the A's are not off to as good of a start, and I'm not confident that they'll turn it around. I have no faith in that team. I think that could hopefully the Reds do just as bad, or one of my teams that I did pick do incredible, so they can kind of balance out the Oakland A's, because yikes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll have my decree next week for July. Again, we'll do the August teams for a decree. We'll get to that obviously in September. But Jacob, the home run derby, you destroyed me. It wasn't even close. So you get your decree, and I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, and you go ahead and you enjoy your
right.
however long of fame.
I think you're going to like this one, because today we're going to talk about baseball cards. Yeah. Once upon a time, baseball cards were just marketing tools for businesses to sell their other products and sports memorabilia. Yeah. Then companies quickly realized the popularity and the possibilities. So soon you had cards of your favorite players hiding in bubblegum packs and boxes of cigars and magazines and newspapers and you name it. And they really helped create the feeling of baseball as America's pastime. It was the red, white, and blue packages and the world wars and these guys being just, all American patriots. It really resonated to help build the sport during that time. And it was just, it was really cool. I mean, the market was built on coolness and fun and collectability. And kids would spend whatever spare change they had on baseball cards, like they had golden tickets in them. You're thinking of Willie and the Chocolate Factory, and last quarter I'm gonna buy a chocolate bar with it. That was baseball cards in the early 1900s America. And the funny thing was, even if you scored, a top tier player that probably would have been worth a lot of money someday, the kids were playing with it. You played games with them. And a lot has changed over the years. People started to really realize the opportunity of preserved cards. So top condition elites like Wagner and Mantle and Ruth have sold for millions of dollars, right? Even some modern baseball cards have fetched just insane amounts of money, depending on rarity and mint. Baseball card collectability really peaked in the 80s, but even as a kid, I remember going crazy over baseball cards. I remember the security guards at the Mariner games used to give them out to kids. You remember that? They might still do that. I don't know. Maybe it's just the kid thing and I don't look like a kid anymore, so I don't get free baseball cards. Or they had trading card nights. I don't know if you were ever a part of this. I remember at the Kingdom, they would give you a pack of like 9 or 10 baseball cards, but they were all the same player, and you had to trade with different people to get the complete set. It was so cool. I loved it. I still have thousands of baseball cards, and that's after selling and losing some of them and moving a handful of times, and I'm sure some of them got lost along the way, and even a pretty serious break-in where some of my cards were stolen. Some of my cards are pretty heavily played with because I was a kid when I was collecting others, and some of them are still pristine condition, and some of them aren't even worth the cardboard that they're printed on. Others are worth quite a lot of money. The thing is, there's still a huge market for these trading cards. And it doesn't really matter if it's sports cards or Pokemon cards or Magic cards, or, even Star Wars and Marvel have their own huge trading card following. And so baseball really, it does too much, which makes it not enough. Back in the day, you had 3 or 4 different companies. I think there was Upper Deck and Topps and Bowman. There were the big ones, and they had exclusive rights to certain pictures and players and teams. But if you look up Julio Rodriguez baseball card right now, you will literally find hundreds, if not thousands, of results. And they'll range anywhere from a penny to thousands of bucks already. People know this kid's special, right? Even the big companies like Topps have dozens of different Julio rookie cards. It's too much. It'd be good for the companies, but it'd also be good for the sport and the players to try to build up exclusiveness of these products. Have a contract with MLB to only allow a certain number of brands to make these cards. Maybe, the team annual packs and trading card nights and stuff, those are separate. Those are for the team. But the actual MLB backed cards, have those be desirable again. Have specific cards and players. I remember back in the day, I still have their Leaf Gold cards, and they have different rarities. You have the regular card, but then you have the silver leaf, and then you have the gold leaf, and those ones are actually even thicker cardboard. And you have, that secondary pricing for the secondary market on those specific cards. And other card games, not going to go into specifics, but other card games do that as well, where, a common rarity or a ultra rarity, it's the same card, but it has differences in the picture and the border and the leafing and everything. And the ultra rare goes for more than the common does because it's more rare, And so it's proven that these have just amazing impacts on the interest of the cards, and people go crazy over the potential value. I mean, it's still the same cardboard piece, but it's that rarity that really drives that interest in there. But the biggest missed opportunity are the amazing collectible card games that they used to have. We've talked about this. Yep. You remember MLB Showdown. Every player had certain stats for offense and defense, and then you rolled dice to see what happened as you played against your friend's lineup. It was so cool. I'm like fanboying over this, and I was just going over this in my head. So you have player cards and you have strategy cards, and you put your best pitcher up against your buddy's lineup, and you let the dice decide the outcomes. And depending on who rolled the higher dice, you'd use, that player's chart to figure out what happened, anything from strikeouts and putouts to walks and hits and even home runs. Then you just went through the game and you let both skill and fate decide. And it was a blast. And there is 100% a market for this today. Sure, the show is fun, and fantasy football being mostly automated these days has its charm, but without a doubt, there are fans of any age range that would love to just get a couple of D&D dice and build the best roster that they can muster and duke it out with friends. I know you're not allowed to speak during these decrees, but I'll allow you to answer. Would you be down to play that game again?
Sign me up right now.
Yes, 100%. So MLB has some seriously missed opportunities when it comes to how it handles baseball cards. And I honestly think it would make the entire game better and more relatable. You want to go after non-baseball fans and get them interested in baseball. You don't change the game and the ruling itself. You make it more relatable, and you get those cards into the hands of kids like they used to. I mean, it's cool to connect with that part of the sport as well. That's my decree.
I know I'm not supposed to say anything, so I'm not really going to touch. But I do find the timing weird because my dad and I were just opening up baseball cards last week. The only thing that interrupted us was a bald eagle getting one of our chickens. So just a week ago, yeah, it was a wild day. It was a wild night. We had so much fun. Again, we were both, whether you're, a young kid or my dad's in his 50s. You turn into that little kid again when you are opening up baseball cards. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I will also say bring back MLB Showdown right now.
Yes, 100%.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for the newest episode of Mount Rushmore. We're going to talk about the San Diego Padres here this week. And it was an intriguing one. We'll keep it that way. But we will talk about our top 4 Padres of all time. That is coming up next here on the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. Welcome back to the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. We are still rolling right along. We're not done talking about baseball quite yet because it is now time for the newest edition of the Mount Rushmore series. This week, the San Diego Padres. Of course, we have Juan Soto on this list. Not really, but he could be one day. It was a very interesting one, and I think we both had 2 names immediately pop into mind. I wrote down 2 names before I ever even started looking into this at all. So we are going to start right there, and we're going to start off with Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn himself, someone I just fanboy over every single time I hear his name mentioned. He was unbelievable. The things that he did, tragic that his life came to an end way too early. But I mean, his stats:
chewing tobacco,
a 338. 388, 459 slash line, just 135 career home runs, 1,138 RBIs, 790 walks, 3,141 hits, an 847 OPS, a 65 FWAR, one of the greatest hitters of all time. I mean, you ask anyone, Tony Gwynn's gonna be on that list. Buckle up. I'm gonna read you the things he leads the franchise in: games, at bats, hits, runs, doubles, triples, RBIs, stolen bases, and walks. 5th in home runs. He wasn't really a power hitter. He was getting on base for everyone else. The stat that blows me away beyond everything: in his career, which was 20 seasons of playing baseball, he struck out 434 times. That's his career. There are guys who pushed that within 2 seasons of coming into the league. That's an average of 29 strikeouts per season. Today, in 2022, nobody with 250 minimum at-bats has fewer than 29 strikeouts already this season. Tony Gwynn averaged 617 at-bats. That is registered at-bats. That doesn't include walks. That doesn't include sac flies. Just the at-bats where it actually counted as an at-bat. He averaged 617 per season. You can't tell me anyone who hits 617 times doesn't strike out at least 30 times. And it's beyond that, in my opinion. It'd be pushing insane. Triple digits. A Hall of Famer, had his number retired by the Padres. And if we ever do our all-time team where we pick a guy for every position, Tony Gwynn's going to be on my team. One of the best hitters of all time. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Hall of Fame, first year of eligibility. Another one that you just look at the voters and ask yourself, who would not vote for him? Who said, nah, not this guy. That's not Hall of Fame worthy. It blows my mind that it took so long to have a unanimous first round decision. 15-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove, 7-time Silver Slugger, 8-time batting champ, tied for the most in National League history. Roberto Clemente and a bunch of other character honors similar to the Roberto Clemente Award, the Branch Rickey and Lou Gehrig and a handful of others. In 1993, he had 4 different 5-hit games. 4 5-hit games in the same season. Just insane. Leads the league in hits, or led the league in hits 7 different times in his career. Career batting average of .338 puts him tied for 22nd in the history of the sport, but he's in there with all of the OGs who did not face the pitching that they face today. He is the only one even close to that spot from the modern era. Just an incredible ball player, an incredible human being, special to the sport. One of the greatest right fielders to ever play. Yeah, he would make, like you said, almost put his son on the list just because of the impact that he had for the team.
Unbelievable career, unbelievable life, just a special human being, unbelievable career. Now let's move on to number 2, another one who can be argued as one of the greatest of all time at his position. He's the second greatest closer in MLB history to me, and that's Trevor Hoffman. The only reason he's not the first is Mariano Rivera. That is literally the only reason. A 2.76 career ERA, a 1.043 WHIP. That's walks and hits per inning pitched. Incredible career. 552 saves out of 618 opportunities. That's an 89.3 percentage. Second all-time in saves, like we said, only 51 behind Mariano Rivera. 552 saves, that was just with the Padres alone. Just ridiculous career. Most games played as a pitcher in franchise history. I mean, again, the only reason that people don't talk about this guy more is because he pitched at the same time as Mariano Rivera. Unbelievable. Had 2 saves with the Marlins before he got traded to the Padres. Finished his career with Milwaukee, where he had added on a few more saves. Just really, really talented. When you saw that guy come into the game, it was the same feeling. You knew the game was over.
Yeah. Yep. One of the greatest closers the game has ever seen. Played 16 years for San Diego. Like you said, racked up 552 saves, over an 89% conversion rate. That is insane. And what I love the most about it was most closers are that fireball, blow them away, overpower them type pitcher. This guy was more comparable to Jamie Moyer, to put it in Mariner terms. You know, his fastball toward the middle to end of his career, mid to high 80s, not a fast fastball, but his palm ball changeup was an absolute game changer. He had 9 different seasons with 40 plus saves, 7-time All-Star, quite a few Cy Young considerations, 2 Rolaids Relief Awards. You remember those? Those are a blast from the past. I was looking at that. Now the NL's Reliever of the Year award is just named after him because that's easier, you know. Compare AL is Mariano, NL is Trevor Hoffman Award. And so they put him as close to Mariano as you could ever get. That's all you have to say about it.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's funny that you mentioned the Rolaids Reliever of the Year. I was just watching a trivia show, and one of the questions was, what was the sponsor of the Reliever of the Year award from this year to this year? Rolaids, yep. Obvious answer there for that one. So Trevor Hoffman, again, the second guy I just put on this list immediately. 3 and 4, I both had their names pop into my head, but I wanted to just confirm. And number 3 is going to be Dave Winfield. Very good hitter. Of course, a lot of people remember him more so with the Yankees, but that's not really where he cut his teeth.
But
284, 357, 464 slash line, 154 home runs with the Padres, 626 RBIs, 463 walks, and 821 OPS. Just top 5 in every offensive stat you look at for the Padres. And his defense was very, very good as well. Kind of played on the Padres before they really got good. He had to be on those teams that had tough, thin years. Incredible career, though. And again, he enjoyed being with the Padres. We didn't mention Trevor Hoffman kind of got bitter with the Padres towards the end of his career. It looked like they ended on good terms, though. But Dave Winfield, again, you don't really hear about this guy talking trash about either of the teams he was on. He just had a really great career, just went to work every day and put on a show.
I didn't even know where to begin when it came to Dave Winfield. I mean, the fact that he was drafted by 3 different sports out of college, baseball, basketball times 2 back when the NBA had competition, and the NFL. He didn't even play football in college, so I don't know what the Vikings were going for, but they were going after their boy. Yeah, and he decided, no, I think I'm going to go with baseball. He never played minor league ball either. He went directly from college to the MLB. So if you look at the success that he had early in his career, just know that he did that without any type of amateur professionalism at all. There is a reason baseball has the farm system that it does, and it's so that you can develop to be a successful player. You look at the Ken Griffey Jr.'s and the Mike Trouts and anyone. Juan Soto was on the shorter end of that, but they still need to cook a little bit in the minors before they can come up, and otherwise you risk ruining them if they can't adapt. It's a waste of a pick. That wasn't the case for him. He came in, he did what he needed to do, and he became a very successful ball player. Or the fact that he was drafted as a pitcher and San Diego said, no, we want your bat in the lineup, play right field instead. Again, without being in minor league ball, going as a major leaguer and playing a position that you probably haven't since high school or before, it's just insane. I can't get over those little like factoids and how his career started. But yeah, he had 4 All-Star games as a Padre, a couple Gold Gloves, definitely was in the MVP talks, had a lot of success as a Yankee, but he really developed into the player that he became in San Diego.
A great career and inducted into the Hall of Fame as a Padre as well. Padre. So
yep.
that kind of sealed the deal there on that one. Dang, kind of wish that they would have let him pitch, don't you? Because he could have been Shohei Ohtani before Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
You never know how things could have changed.
And that was the National League, so I mean, they might have had to change some things up a little bit. I'm assuming they would want his bat in the lineup more than just once a week, or
exactly
once every 5 starts. But
I'm sure they never had the thought process of, oh, hey, he could do both. I guarantee that thought never crossed anyone's mind back then. But Dave Winfield, a special athlete, really good baseball player. Let's get to number 4, and we're actually in agreement all the way through. This one was a little bit tougher, but again, the guy I thought of right away was the guy I ended up going with, and that's Jake Peavy. A really, really good career, 92 and 68 with the team, a 3.29 career ERA with them, 1.186 WHIP, a 1,348 strikeouts, 7 complete games as a Padre, one of only 3 Padres to win the Cy Young. Really, really good. And I remember, he was kind of the ace of the team, but the Padres weren't really good yet, but it was like, okay, they're close to being really good. This guy's going to be the anchor to this team. When he left San Diego, things didn't really quite work out for him. He had a decent career with the White Sox, but it wasn't the Jake Peavy that we saw in the Padres, because the Jake Peavy we saw in the Padres was as elite of a pitcher as you could find in the league.
Yeah. 8 years as a Friar, 2-time All-Star. That Cy Young that he he won the pitching triple crown that year. I mean, 2007, he was as dominant a pitcher as you can be. Most strikeouts in Padres history, and it's not even close. I mean, there is a big gap between number 1 and number 2. You know, those players that you just kind of gravitate towards as a kid. They're not on your team, but just someone you enjoy watching them play the sport. That was Jake Peavy for me growing up. You know, those mid 2000s. I don't know if it was because he was the saving grace for that team and played against, you know, the Giants and the Dodgers and, you know, some of those teams that I really enjoyed watching lose. I'll be honest. Or I don't know what it was. It just seemed like everything about the guy just resonated with me as a kid. So it was really fun watching him. I too was, you know, looking around like, is this the number 4? Is there anyone else? And I overthought it. It's not even close. He rounds out the mountain on the Padres, and Padres have not had a lot of career guys, a lot of big names with only 3, 4, maybe 5 years with the club, but not quite the franchise stats that I'd put on the list. So he rounds it out for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn, the only career Padre on our list. And I mean, you mentioned the guys you're drawn to. I don't even think that's just for kids. I still find guys where I'm like, I like watching him play. Francisco Lindor is one of my favorite players in the league right now. Just love watching those guys. Jake Peavy, yeah. I think it was more Padres were in a similar spot as the Mariners, kind of going through that long rebuild. And they hadn't forced them to be rivals yet. It was exactly. I don't even think they're really rivals now. I think
they're really trying, but
they're supposed to be. But I don't think the teams look at each other. The Padres have the Dodgers for that, and the Mariners now have the Angels for that for them too. So there it is. Our Mount Rushmore, our honorable mentions. I had Adrian Gonzalez, Gary Templeton, and Randy Jones. Those are the only 3 I really looked at for debating that number 4 spot. And I think you had the same.
Yeah, I didn't have Gonzalez. I just had Gary Templeton, you know, 10 years of solid shortstop ball with the club, all-star, Silver Slugger. I mean, when you look at just an all-around complete shortstop that you want on your team, he was the mold. And then Randy Jones, 8 years with the Padres, 1 Cy Young, runner-up another time, and then a 2-time All-Star. So those guys were really the only ones that even got close to me, again, mostly because of time of service.
Yeah, Randy Jones kind of was Jake Peavy-esque, except he didn't really have the peak as long as Jake Peavy did. And Gary Templeton, he's the only one I think with an even argument to be Mr. Padre. But of course, Tony Gwynn kind of took that away. He did some really good things with the Padres. And Adrian Gonzalez, like you said, just didn't play long enough. But man, when he first started with San Diego, it was a guy you looked at and you're like, yikes, don't want runners on with him coming to the plate. But our top 4.
I think Gary Templeton, the factor that he brought to the team most was being traded for Ozzie. I mean, they were looking for a good shortstop, and they ended up giving a fantastic shortstop away. But it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, trades in hindsight are very easy. Trades at the time are much tougher. There you go. Our top 4 on the San Diego Padres, Mount Rushmore: Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman, Dave Winfield, and Jake Peavy. We're in agreement once again this week. Next week, things are going to get kind of interesting. I'm excited for next week's. The Kansas City Royals going to be a fun one to do. A team that was really good back in the day and kind of fell off there for a long while. But, you know, even in the mid 2010s, they had a run, won a World Series. We'll see if any guys from that team are able to crack that list. It'll be a fun one. That'll be next week on the Royals Mount Rushmore. We're going to take a quick break. We're done with baseball. When we come back, though, we've seen a lot of teams release in the NFL their alternate uniforms for the upcoming season. So we went ahead and we ranked them, the ones we thought were the best and the ones that weren't so good, look like a little bit like vomit, if you ask me. But we'll go ahead and rank those NFL alternate uniforms coming up next here on the Kingsmen.
Alderson's Awards West Printwares is your one stop to tell the world about your school, club, or business. Spread the word on jackets, shirts, hats, and more from Awards West Printwares in Centralia. Awards West Printwares offers fast service of quality products including screen printing and embroidery done on site. They offer a wide variety of advertising specialties at great prices and delivered right to your door. For a full catalog, go online to aldersons.net. For maximum impact, Aldersons Awards West Printwares is ready to serve you today.
Welcome back to the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. It is time to wrap this one up, ranking the alternate uniforms for the 2022 season in the NFL. Again, these are just the new ones that have come out. We got a list of 13 of them. Some teams just have helmets. Some teams went with the full alternate uniform, pants, jerseys, everything. So we're going to start things off. We're going to start with, I think we should probably start at number 13. I think we should go bottom, worst to best. Right. So the bottom... I've got the Chicago Bears, which are just absolutely disgusting. Just all the orange. And it's not even because I think the Bears franchise is disgusting. It's just gross. There's nothing good about it. Orange. Don't even really want to spend much time on it.
Yeah, no, nothing about that is a bear to me. That, like you said, kind of vomity, I guess. It's not pretty. It's not a good shade of orange. I know that they're, going on their secondary color. It looks like a color rush jersey to me. And I didn't really like the color rush jerseys. So
yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's about as bad as they'll play. So I know I just stole your joke, but
well, you can have it.
They're our rivals, so. Dang it. All right.
Exactly.
Moving to number 12 is a team that will be higher up if we do this next year. It's the Philadelphia Eagles for me. The all black. It just didn't really do anything for me. I'm not going to say it was bad. It was just kind of boring. I looked at the other teams and I'm like, yeah, they're just kind of, the easy way to do it is just black. That's the easy way. And I think that's what the Eagles did. Who do you have at 12?
Some of those blacked out helmets look really snazzy though. So I don't.
The blacked out helmets are cool. The blacked out. But it's just when you do the alternate jerseys and it's just black.
Right. Exactly. So no, for me, 12 is the Commandos. I am not a fan of those new uniforms that they've got going. They've had a lot of time to come up with what they want to do with this team. They were just nameless. This is the best that they came up with. It seems really ho-hum to me. I'm not a fan.
A lot of people didn't like the Commanders. I guess I'll have a hot take here coming up. Then I'll talk about them. Number 11 is a team that really just had helmets, and it's the New Orleans Saints. I'm not a fan of the logo just kind of down through the middle and down the back. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me. It's nothing special. I actually think it looks kind of bad. I maybe should have had them below the Eagles, but it's not terrible, but it's just, again, something that doesn't really do anything for me.
See, and I actually like the Saints one, so I'll talk about that a little higher up. But no, coming in, what would this be, 11, are the Giants for me. I don't know if it's because it's been so recent since they had helmets like this, or it's not really a throwback to me. It's more of just regression. It's boring. It's not bad. It just, if I see them on any given Sunday, I'm not going to even know that those are alternates.
Yeah, I have the Giants at 10, so I'll just follow up from that as we move to number 10. Yeah, they don't. I swore, I'm like, don't they wear those like once a year? I looked at it, and I'm not even convinced that they don't right now. I don't know why they did this big reveal for them, but yeah, they're cool, but they're nothing new. They're nothing exciting really to me. They just look like a Giants uniform. That's pretty much what it is to me. So yeah, I agree. I have them at 10. What do you have at 10?
The Falcons. I don't know. It almost looks like a college football helmet to me. The retro, Falcon with the talon going out, that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's just because it's a Coca-Cola red and they're like selling themselves over it. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a huge fan of that red. They're kind of low on the list for me.
Yeah, I have the Falcons at 9, so I'll just
See?
lead off of that. Yeah, I like the old logo, but yeah, the shade of red just looks kind of bad. I don't know if people saw they had that uniform last year where it was like red faded to black or black faded to red, and that looked pretty cool. I like that more than this one. Yeah, it's the cool old school throwback, but it's nothing new. I guess that's what I was looking at with these alternates. And I know Jacob will have an argument with me later on one of the teams I have ranked high because it's not really new, but it's cool. But the Falcons, again, love the logo. Could have done something a little bit cooler with the jerseys. I hate that shade of red too. So I've got them coming in at number 9.
Yeah. And for number 9, I actually have the Eagles. It is a little boring just having that blacked out helmet, really no other changes than black instead of green. I actually, when I was doing research, saw the preview for the 2023. I know you kind of alluded to it, that like Irish green look at that. That one would rank a little bit higher for me. But nothing special as far, we're getting to that point of the list where it's not bad, but it's not doing it for me either.
Yeah, I love the Irish green. I can't wait for them to get to those next year. But for this one, this is where I have the Washington Commanders coming in at 8. I had them ranked higher than you. I like the black, and I know a lot of the issues people had was the logo on the front of the helmet, the W, which did take away from it a little bit for me. But I think they did a pretty cool job. I love the. I guess I love the combination of the color of the W with the black. I think that looks pretty cool. And I also think Carson Wentz looks really cool in them. And that's going to be very important. I think the Commanders, again, it's nothing groundbreaking, but I think it was cooler than those ones I had listed below that made either slight tweaks or were the Bears that were just terrible.
The Commanders helmets to me look like an NCAA game that doesn't have the rights to a logo. They're putting the numbers on the side of the helmet and they're like, yeah, don't sue us. We're not doing anything special here. This is just, here's some random colors and random numbers and be happy. It is just not working for me.
I thought you were going to install college logos again, and I was going to be offended.
No.
Washington State University has the coolest logo in all the sports. But all right, I'll let you.
No, I'm talking about like no team.
I get what you mean now.
Okay, yeah. No, next I have the Cowboys. And again, boring to me. I see, if I was a Cowboy fan, oh God forbid. But if I was a Cowboy fan, I could see me thinking that this was cool. But it doesn't do anything for me as a non-Cowboys fan whatsoever.
So I've got the Cowboys at 7, so I'll just feed off of that. I don't know how this keeps working out, but I agree with you. Again, as a non-Cowboys fan, it isn't like, oh, this is awesome. But I do respect the history of the throwback. It's not one we see broke out too often. So I'm glad that they kind of keep it away from us and say, hey, here it is again. Remember how cool this looked? I appreciate that more than the every year. Oh, look at the throwbacks. Remember these again? Remember these? They're back again.
Bumblebee uniforms.
Exactly. And I like the fact they're going to wear them on Thanksgiving too. So I gave them a few extra bonus points. I think that the whole vibe will be pretty cool when the Cowboys break those out. So I have them at number 7.
Yeah. I actually have the Patriots. Talking about busting out their alternates and their throwbacks all the time. This is nothing new. The Patriots wear these pretty often. It's a cool logo for the history of the sport. It's not one of those game-breaking logos that needs to be brought back all the time. And so I'm over it. It's better than, just boring color changes, but it's not doing it for me.
I'm not going to talk about the Patriots yet. We'll talk about them here in a little bit.
Okay.
At number 6, I've got another team that was just helmets, and it's the Houston Texans. I think that these are actually pretty cool helmets. I like the red. I think that looks really, really sweet. This is the first one that I saw that where I'm actually like, okay, that looks pretty cool. This is where the list changes over from just nothing special to, okay, that's actually pretty sweet. I wish they wore those more often, but of course that'd take away how special they are. So I don't really know how you balance that out, but I think they're pretty solid. Again, the Texans going to be bad this year, so probably won't even get to see them worn during a game. But I think that the idea is pretty cool because I don't really remember the Texans ever changing their uniforms. It always seems like that blue with the red, or if they're on the road, the white with the blue. It just seems like it's the same thing every year. So I'm glad that they're at least trying something different.
Yeah. Well, a very new team. They haven't really had the history. It would be cool if they popped out some Oiler helmets. I would be game for that.
I think Titans fans the Titans might not like that too much.
That's fair. I know, especially, same division, that would be rough, but having those Houston roots, I don't know. I agree with you. I actually have them in this position as well. And the red helmets, I mean, you look at the Falcons red, and then you look at this red, and this, it looks like a muscle car. It's pretty. I like that one. And the red, white, and blue, and the star there, it's snazzy. I do like it. I give them props for that. They won't be good this year, so I'll enjoy crushing those helmets. But we're
very cool. You did mention that they don't have the history. This is where I think I always thought it'd be cool. I'm going to go off a little bit off the tracks here, but I always thought it'd be cool if like the teams in the same city partnered up and like swapped, like use the baseball team's colors for a uniform and vice versa, or something. NBA. I always thought cool. That'd be really cool for teams to do once a year. I think that'd be really awesome. So, hey, you guys, MLB, NFL, if the commissioners watch this podcast, so you guys should try that out. Trust me, people would absolutely love it. Let's get into the top 5 now. Exactly.
I'll block Rob. I'll block all of them.
Rob is the worst one by far. If I had to choose one to get rid of, it's Rob Manfred. No hesitation.
Right up there.
Rob Manfred's ruining the sport. It's yes. Maybe this will be my decree next week. We'll see.
All right.
Let's go into the top 5. Number 5, another just helmet. It's the Arizona Cardinals, which at first looking at it, I'm like, doesn't really do too much for me. But then they actually have the little splotches of red on there. I don't know if you saw that. It's the black helmet, and then they have this. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. I appreciate that, and it'll look cool. I love their. I know I kind of trashed on the all black, but I think the Cardinals doing it for Thursday night games are pretty cool. Maybe it's just because it was compared to the other color rushes, and the rest of them were just absolute hot garbage, especially like the Jaguars and the Seahawks. Gross. But I like the Cardinals, the flashes of red on there. I think those will look pretty sweet. We'll see if DeAndre Hopkins gets to wear it though.
Yeah. I for number 5, I actually have one I liked a lot more than you, and that's the Saints. I like the little fleur-de-lis, going on the back of the helmet. I think it actually looks pretty cool. The rest of the changes aren't like super noticeable. I mean, the black is better in my opinion. I think it goes better with that kind of bronzed gold there. But I actually like that accent. I think that is a pretty nifty piece.
I have at number 4 now the Carolina Panthers. I love the Panthers shade of blue. I think that works pretty much. You'd have to really work hard to ruin that shade. I just absolutely love it. Pretty much any uniform they have, I'm going to appreciate. So I think they did a great job of kind of, going with the little tweaks, something we haven't really seen from the Panthers. Again, a team that probably is going to be bad this year. But I love I just love that blue, and I think that's really what took it away. Was I was just hypnotized by that. If you throw that on anything, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, number 4 for me. I know that we kind of trash talked some of they just blacked their helmet and that's it. But the Jets did it right. I've got them at number 4. That is a sleek looking, midnight black. I think it looks so much better than their regular jerseys. I really do. The green, sorry if that's offensive to Jets fans. I don't know any Jets fans, so I don't care. But we have that just blacked out helmet, and it looks cool. I enjoy it.
I don't know how many Jets fans there are anymore, but I also have them at 3.
fair.
And I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think the black goes a lot better with that green. I think that's what changes it for me, is that they still have that green, and that looks really, really cool. So I appreciated that. I really enjoyed the look that they were going for there, and I think they hit it out of the park.
Yep. And then actually at 3, I have the Cardinals. Same thing, that black on red actually looks really sleek. I enjoyed just that look. But then those flakes of I don't know if it's supposed to be like little red eggshells or what, but it looks cool. I liked that look.
It'd be
That's
really
a fearsome
cool if,
Cardinal
like,
right there.
next year they came out with some red ones, and the red was like the black being chipped off to unveil. That'd be cool. I think.
Yeah.
There you go, Cardinals. There you go. You're welcome.
Yep.
Credit
But
me.
that's hard to make the bird pop on that then.
That's not my problem. They got to figure that out. I have at number 2. This is where I have the New England Patriots, and I know we talked about the just bringing out these old, but man, these old school ones are just so cool. I think everyone not everyone, but most people at least respect them. Don't think that they're absolutely gross. I even saw Tom Brady not too happy that the Patriots are breaking him out now that he's gone. Once again, it feels like they've been gone long enough now. They've been gone for a few years to where bringing them back, it's like, okay, these are cool again. There was that spell when they were winning the Super Bowl every other year where it felt like they were wearing it every other week. So yeah, I will agree with you there, but they're just really clean. I love the red. Like you talked about, the red, white, blue. I love the old school Patriot logo as well. I think it's awesome. So I have the New England Patriots at number 2, even though I hope that they suck finally.
Number 2, I actually have the Panthers. Everything you said, it just goes double for me. We were talking about how do you make a red bird appear on a red helmet. They have a black cat appear on a black helmet with just a tiny blue outline, and it looks like a cat, like a panther in the night ready to attack. I mean, I'm really hyping them up, I know, but that is a really cool look. That's a cool color combo. I like it.
There you go. The Cardinals just have to outline then. You just answer your own question. It's absolutely perfect. Now, the Panthers do have that cool CGI panther that comes out. That was pretty awesome to see that on video. So let's move to number 1, where we are in agreement. Obviously, these ones are so cool. It's the white Bengal for the Cincinnati Bengals. They are absolutely awesome, especially that they're going all white instead of like leaving some orange on there. No, it's white. It's awesome. It looks exactly like those white Bengal tigers, which I think are so cool to see the videos of. I think they hit a home run, and I hope that they use these about every other year or so. They're just really clean.
Honestly, I feel like they listen to their fan base there that are like, hey, this would be cool. Hey, this would be cool. This seems like somebody who loves the team came up with this. It wasn't a marketing person working with Coca-Cola. It wasn't a think tank of Nikes that, oh, hey, this might be cool. This was no, these are our guys and we're going to make them look special. Yeah, hit it out of the park.
Absolutely awesome. So there's our rankings of the alternate uniforms here for the NFL in 2020.
I'm still waiting for that Colt drop kick in the helmet. That'll be a good throwback. We haven't seen those in a long time.
The Packers signed like 5-year deals for their throwbacks, so I know that they're not going to be dropping anything. They'll go with the same that they've been using for a while. But hey, as long as they win, that's all that matters. Hey, you watch yourself. That'll do it, though, for this episode of the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. Once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us here for a little while. Again, don't forget to follow the socials. They're tagged, whether you're watching this on YouTube, they're tagged below, or if you're clicking on the link on elisportsnetwork.com, they are actually up above. So go ahead and click on those, hit follow, and we will post. You don't want you have to be looking for us anymore. You'll just see us scrolling on your social feed that, hey, new episode's up. Go ahead and check it out. We'll also post the full episode of Mariners Minis on those as well. So make sure to follow those. We will be back next week again. Hopefully we'll have our college football topic. I've got our fan from the South locked in. Hopefully we're able to find our Pac-12 person to talk about here in the next week, and we'll open up with that next week. Then we'll also, of course, talk about baseball. We'll never know what we're going to talk about because of things changing during the week. Hopefully it's about the Mariners doing really, really well, though. So that'll be coming up. Also, the Kansas City Royals Mount Rushmore will be next week, and football season's getting closer. We might talk a little bit of fantasy football next season. That'll be a fun one. Maybe it'll just be a open mic debate. It'll be a good time either way. Fantasy football next week. But that'll do it for this episode of the Kingsmen Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we will see you in 1 week's time back here on the Kingsmen